Morning, Ross.
Good morning, Sherman.
How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Yeah, we're okay. Enjoying the markets.
Yeah, did a couple Zoom calls yesterday, and talking about the choppiness of the markets, and often I think of the allegory that was put out by Ben Graham, one of the world's best investors, and he created an individual called Mr. Market, who's can be manically depressive some days and wildly enthusiastic other days, and I think the takeaway is that if the markets properly valued businesses that trade on the stock market at their true intrinsic value, there would be no fun for stock market guys like us, because you wouldn't be able to find good deals. And I talked to another friend of mine who's not as involved in the capital markets, and I said to her, it's like walking into a grocery store and everything's on sale. And I think investors need to focus on that is when fear and greed enter the markets. Of course, obviously when greed's there, you get stock prices at very high valuations. It's hard to find things on sale. And when people get very scared, then of course they start selling anything that'll be sold. And even that relates to gold. So gold bullion is a major asset class. And people wonder, well, if things are so rocky and fearful, why isn't gold going up? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because people can sell it. And so when you're going to raise cash think of the global portfolio of stocks and real estate and bonds and gold and all these things, I mean, anything's up for grabs. And so you tend to sell the things that are the most liquid. And the most liquid things in most people's portfolios, or their, if you think of their pie chart of all their wealth, stocks and bonds and gold bullion are very liquid assets. So, those are the ones that get hit the most.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, it's very cyclical. Actually, I'm always encouraged with these times. I mean, for example, if we take that same philosophy and how we have picked up land packages, we're able to stake ground at in times when the market's depressed and the commodity prices are depressed. That allows you the best opportunity to select a good geologic ground with a lot less competition. And so I don't know. I'm always I think we take full advantage of the downturns, for building a portfolio. For me, it's very cyclical. We know it comes back, and so I think that works on our side as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. So for our listeners, I'm here with Ross McElroy. Ross McElroy is the president and chief executive officer of Fission Uranium. He's also the chairman of SKRR Exploration, which is based out of Saskatchewan for most of the portfolio. And I really wanted to take a little bit of your time today. And I really thank you, first of all, Ross, for taking 5 to 10 minutes of your time. I just thought it'd be really interesting to talk to you about a couple things. One is, what we keep talking about, this energy transition, and how important. It's almost like we've got the revenge of the old economy, where globally there's a supply shortage for everything from copper to zinc to cobalt to rare earths. I mean, the list goes on and on. Uranium and I think we stand to have some substantially significant rates of return for investors if they're invested in the right portfolio of commodities. And one way that you can go about doing that, of course, is just buy an ETF fund. But probably the most logical way is to find really good companies that you can take large positions in, or take positions within your portfolio that have great projects, based in the base metal or the precious metal sector. So I want to talk about a couple of things today. One is, you've got such a deep understanding of the Trans-Hudson orogeny, which is a tremendous geological formation that runs through Manitoba and Saskatchewan. And I think investors need to realize that, the best place to invest is in areas that are safe jurisdictions and are relatively underexplored, but also have the potential to create giant deposits. So I guess the first thing I wanted to do was to get you to just to, give us your perspective on the Trans-Hudson. And then the second thing is I really wanted to talk a little bit about zinc today, because, zinc is a very interesting asset. I mean, even our mothers give us, zinc when we have the flu, and it's also, some of my recent research is pointing to a transformational thing for zinc, which is the use of zinc in fertilizer, which of course it's interesting because it's a nice little, nice little point that not only do we have in SKRR exploration, for example, has a very interesting zinc asset called Watts Lake, which is also, in the prairies, which is also the breadbasket of the world. So I wanted to talk about those two things. So maybe first of all, we'll just, tell us about the Trans-Hudson.
Sure. I mean, the Trans-Hudson, it's such an important geologic feature. It's one of the, it's basically, just to put it simply, it's an old mountain range. It's let's call it about 2 billion years old. It was an old mountain range that now present day location would basically run down the middle of North America. So we see it, on the northeast end up near Hudson's Bay, and it wraps around through parts of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all the way down through southern Saskatchewan and down into the US, into the Dakotas. Now, what's important about it is the host of many, many world-class mining jurisdictions. I mean, what comes to mind right away is Flin Flon. Look at the Flin Flon area, host to the world premier VMS deposits. So it's such an important mining district, in copper, zinc, and gold, for that matter, and which is right on the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border. We look at the potential for hosting giant gold ore bodies along the Trans-Hudson corridor. You look down in South Dakota, you have the Homestake mine. So, over 45 million ounces of gold produced, and that's also a direct relationship to the Trans-Hudson orogeny, the corridors we refer to that. You look at the Athabasca Basin, home of the world premier uranium deposits, also lend its origin to the Trans-Hudson orogeny as well. So really, truly an incredible geologic feature. And it's something that we've always kept in mind as we put together our portfolio of packages into SKRR, is where are we situated, for along the Trans-Hudson or proximity to it in order to find world-class deposits. And that's what Saskatchewan has. It has the potential for these, the geologic settings right, and for a number of commodities. In the portfolio of SKR, we have gold, we have zinc, we have nickel. They're all extremely related to this feature.
That's a good point, and I think one of the takeaways that is for investors, and really when you look at the work of world-class geologists, guys that have actually discovered gold mines and uranium deposits, people like we have, like Ross McElroy, you tend to look in places that are overlooked. And I think the Trans-Hudson and most of Saskatchewan mineralization is underexplored, in particular on the gold side. And what I really wanted to hone in on too is not, number one, Saskatchewan is one of those underexplored areas. You don't have to go to Saudi Arabia, you don't have to go to Iran, you don't have to, and there's nothing wrong with other jurisdictions. But what investors and geologists and explorers need to do is find an area that is underexplored, but has the geological success or geological prospectivity. And Saskatchewan just really stands out. And I think that combined with, I wanted to talk a little bit about zinc as an asset. And then finally, I guess, we've SKRR, Ross and I are both investors in SKRR. And we have a project called the Watts Lake Zinc Project, which has got some historic drilling, has actually a small resource, but not 43101. But it's a property that I think is going to start to attract the attention of larger investors. We've seen larger investors like SSR Mining is a global enterprise that has the CB Gold deposit. You've got Rio Tinto's now, sniffing around looking for nickel assets in Saskatchewan. So, I guess the theme is, if investors are looking for a great jurisdiction that has the potential to generate large deposits, they should really look at Saskatchewan. So yeah, maybe just tell us a little bit about zinc, because I wasn't as fully aware that, the price has doubled. There's been almost no, significant exploration anywhere for zinc. And now it's got this new use of, as a fertilizer, which is really interesting, because most metals, you end up recycling them. Well, you can't recycle fertilizer, it's in the ground. So I think it could be a real game changer for zinc.
Well, yeah, zinc does have multi-purposes. It's generally, part of other steel. You have zinc plating. It's used in so many different avenues, and you're right, they continue to find new uses for zinc. It is at historic highs. We're looking at zinc prices that are, at multi-year highs these days. And I think that's going to continue to be an important part, and zinc still plays an important role in battery technology as well. So it's generally, I don't know. For me, it's a much sought after commodity. We're fortunate in SKRR. We have the Watts Lake project, which is located about 40 or 50 kilometers northeast of the hamlet of La Ronge, so in central Saskatchewan. The project itself is located, about 12 kilometers or so away from a highway. So it's close to infrastructure, but I think what's important, it has a historic showing on it called the, it's a Watts Lake, the Boris Lake showing. It is essentially a deposit in the making. You're right, it doesn't meet 43-101 criteria, because the work that was done previously predated the 43-101 rules. However, there's a number of holes along the deposit. I call it a deposit, loose terms here, but basically it's a kilometer long. We're looking at mineralization that it's high-grade zinc with silver. There's also pockets of high-grade silver within there. It's only been tested to about 50 meters depth, and yet over a kilometer in strike length. So, and the average width of along the zone is between 5 and 20 meters thickness. It had an in-house pre-43-101 estimate, at just around 2% zinc. I think it's higher than that. That was without any kind of a cutoff whatsoever. So for me, it's really a deposit in the making, and with strong high-grade zinc values, some extremely encouraging silver numbers. When we did some follow-up work in trenches, surface trenches, we were looking at silver up to 184 grams per ton. So, you do get some pretty incredible silver numbers, high grade zinc, and it's something that, it's new to the portfolio. We've had it in SKR for less than a year now. And for me, it's a great opportunity to make a significant zinc discovery in the province of Saskatchewan. So,
well, thanks for that overview. And I think for the listeners, I'm here with Ross McElroy. Ross is a world-class geologist, and we've been talking about, number one, looking for areas on the globe. Really, you got to sort of look at this earth and, where is it that these deposits exist? Well, clearly they exist in the Trans-Hudson Corridor, number one. Number two is, the Trans-Hudson Corridor, especially in Saskatchewan, is underexplored for other world-class deposits. And for investors, I think you got to look for these deposits that are going to sustain over many, many years. They take time to develop. And I think, Watts Lake is a prime example of that. And I think we're going to start to see, a lot more interest in SKR, not necessarily as much from retail investors, which we're seeing, but also from majors, that if you want to be in a great jurisdiction, you want to have world-class deposits like the Homestake mining deposits or the Flin Flon ore bodies. Here's an area of the globe right here in Canada that's underexplored. So take a look at SKRR, and Ross and I are shareholders of SKRR, and really wanted to just thank you for your time today, Ross.
Sure. No, I'm happy to be able to talk with you today, Sherman, and update investors. And yeah, I do encourage everybody to have a look at the portfolio in SKR. It is pretty impressive what we've been able to put together, you know, with respect to precious metals and strategic base metals, zinc, nickel. You know, we're I think, you know, we've got just a top-notch portfolio of projects, and you know, excited to get to work this year.
Right on. Have a great day, Ross. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Take care.